everyone. My name is Mohammed Altaf. I'm the chair of the branch. So it's a very popular topic in terms of AI and how it is expanding today. But I guess also with any new technology that develops and expands and becomes popular, there comes a risk. So today's talk is going to be about cybersecurity in the wake of generative AI. So we got Nick, who is not to the branch. He's given us many other talks before as well. So he's going to give an explanation of Gen AI. He's going to tell us about the criminal opportunities of that, enhanced social engineering threats, data theft, and what practical steps we can actually do. I am going to pass you on to Nick, who will probably do a little bit of an introduction of himself, as they're slightly short on time today. So I'm going to pass you on to Nick. Over to you, Nick.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Nick Ioannou. So for my career so far, I started out in interactive development, did a stint at the BBC before mainly working for architects and construction as a head of IT. But the focus there became more and more to do with cybersecurity. We were a way of getting to the pension funds and BlackRock. We were building shopping centers and things like that. And then I started my own little startup on the side, which is Boolean Logical. And right now, I'm actually the information security manager for a application platform, a SaaS platform called Goodlord. I've authored a number of books. They're not overly technical. I normally write from the social engineering and user point of view. And I've also contributed chapters to another 6 books. So that's really me. So let's just get cracking on. So what is generative AI and how does it help the cyber criminals? So firstly, it's a really good soundbite here from the head of research at Trend Micro, the antivirus firm. Cyber criminals have always been early adopters of the latest tech, and AI is no different. So what is generative AI? So this is Canalys, a specialist, and this is their diagram showing you the 4 main areas of generative AI. There's visual generators, text generators, code generators, and audio generators. So they're the 4 main, and then within those, there's smaller subsets. So the visual generators will create your images, your videos, designs. The text generators, ChatGPT is one of the more famous ones. There's loads of others. The audio generators are split into voice and music. And then you have the code generators that will churn out all sorts of development codes and debug and so on. The thing is, the criminals also have their own systems that they use, most of which we never get to hear about unless you are part of that criminal underworld. Interesting though, if you do a search for one of these criminal versions of ChatGPT, the criminals are actually now stealing from each other and extorting from each other. There's a fake version as well. So yeah, be careful when you do go looking for any of these. So back to those 4 key elements: the visual, the text, the code, and the audio. Now, I explained already, so the text easily be used for translations, explanations, summaries. The visual is your images, your video, and your designs. The audio can be voice, music, or even just sounds, whether that's particular sound effects of like a crash, something breaking, a scream, a thud. All of that can be generated, and the code, you pick your language: Python, JavaScript, C, C#. It's all available within these generators. So how do the criminals use them? Well, for visual side, they can create fake images, fake video. On the text side, they can use them to generate all sorts of fake scenarios, give responses, turn out all sorts of scripts. On the audio, they can fake someone's voice And like I said, they can fake sounds. And on the code, they can use it to generate malware, use it to debug existing malware, use it for automation, and exploit vulnerability. Now, to give you an example, here's a load of images. Now, can you spot which one is real? Some of them are pretty obvious, they're fake. The fact is, though, every single image here is fake and generated by generative AI. Now, there's a really famous video on YouTube it's called "This Is Not Morgan Freeman." It was created 2 years ago. It's worth checking it. It's by Diop. If you search for it, just say "This Is Not Morgan Freeman." It is really, really well done. And the thing is, the technology here is now considered ancient. So as good as this is, this Morgan Freeman video, which looks and sounds like him to a really high level, we've now superseded that massively. So I'm not going to play it because of bandwidth. So Zoom, the voice won't sync quite right. So how do cyber criminals make money? Let's take a step back. Now, no matter what the crime, it falls into 4 or 5 actual categories. It's going to be extortion, fraud, theft, disruption, or unauthorized use of your computer assets. So the extortion is your ransom demands, your denial of service, sextortion. Fraud is the fake services, the fake products, the money transfer scams. So the difference between extortion, that's payments you're forced into making, while fraud is payments you're tricked into making. Theft, well, that starts with the most basic of login credentials and contacts, all the way down to your financial information, and even things like webcam footage. Now, the disruption side, where the goal is actually just to cause problems, and they make money because they're trying to lower a share price, benefit a competitor, or just get revenge and prove a point. And then once they have access to your systems, and they can repurpose them. So if you've got cloud services, it can be used to mine for cryptocurrencies, be a web server, spam relay, and anything else that they want to use, because they don't really want to have to pay for cloud services. They'd rather use yours. So how does this all fit? So firstly, let's look at extortion. So there's a whole load of new extortion techniques now because of the deepfake side of things. So it's possible now to create deepfake sexually explicit images of a victim, and same for videos. You can also create completely fake romantic affair evidence, even evidence of criminal activity, audio that compromises the victim, or you can use deepfake audio and video to get someone to trick them into doing something that then actually further compromises them. And there's even been deepfake virtual kidnappings where people have been told, their kids have been picked up and they're screaming down the phone. And the parents are then asked to pay money. This has happened in America already. Now, not only is there new extortion techniques, all of this technology helps enhance the existing ones. It's now so much easier to create highly targeted ransomware against specific people, highly targeted ransomware against specific systems, improved analysis of stolen breach data, improved analysis of any systems that are compromised. Even looking at the various data sets to help identify who's the best person to attack. And then there's improved automation for extortion attacks. And there's also another way where you can actually use data pollution as an extortion. It's not a case of you can't get to your data, it's that we've now polluted it so you can't trust it unless you pay us to fix it. Moving on to the next one of fraud and how it helps the criminals. Now, it makes a big difference and massively helps for romance scams, because now they're not having to steal photos from existing profiles. There's no reverse image search. you can't find that. It doesn't exist. Before you could find them and say, yeah, actually, that's not real. That's some model from this catalog. You could see, but you can't anymore. Now you can now deepfake audio in practically any language. So if you say you're from Germany in the profile, you don't have to be, but you can speak with a fluent German accent. You can pre-record deepfake videos. So it's not a case of just only texting. You can send each other videos, to help perpetrate the whole scam. You've also got real-time voice cloning. So as you speak, it will adapt. You don't have to record it. And because you can look up any form of research and have full conversations on practically any topic. So a scammer can pose as a law student and actually reel off and have a decent conversation, just because of all the text and inputs that are generated. And you can even, deep fake sexually explicit images to encourage the other person, or show that the romance is progressing. And you can even take fake in situ photos of things like today's newspaper and things like that, to kind of prove to them that you're actually real, that you're not a fake person. So this technology can help overcome those and put people at rest, thinking, oh, I am talking to a real person, when they're not. Now, other frauds, the fact that you can create audio of any form of senior management within a firm quite easily, audio of a family member in distress, or even video of them in distress. You can help with all forms of social engineering attacks with this technology, and also massively help with identity fraud, because you can create documentation and all sorts. Then there's like the videos of authority figures, where if you think you're talking to someone and then you go and carry out what they're asking. And recently in the news, there's been a lot of celebrity endorsements that turn out to be fake. Martin Lewis has been used to promote fake investments. There's one a couple of days ago in the news from Tom Hanks saying he had nothing to do with this dental plan that he was being used to advertise. It was all just deep fake videos. So what this technology does for fraud, it helps massively improve the whaling, the targeted phishing attacks of the people where they know they can make the most money. It helps with automated social media account takeovers. You can even create fake websites and put AI-powered chatbots on those websites, and people can talk to them and think they're talking to help desks and support and have proper answers, and then they're quite happy to, enter their details and pay the money because they think they're at the real one. And then for generating, fake documents, invoices, statements, contracts, accounting information, it's all at people's fingertips now, with very little effort and hardly any time involved. So the whole identity fraud, setting up businesses, getting loans, it's so much easier to do. Now, moving on to theft and how AI helps them. So the whaling phishing attacks I mentioned before, they now can be much more automated. You've got the deep fake of a trusted person, so you hand your credentials over. They can even use the technology to create all sorts of automated alerts, so they know when people have left their houses or their offices, to aid burglary. You can use it to bypass facial recognition and voice authentication type locks. It can help with things like password guessing, even breaking past the captures that prove that you're human. And there's even been reports of deep face masking used for people getting remote IT jobs. So posing as someone that they recognize with a track history, so once they have the job and they're emailed the login credentials, they've actually got, if you're in IT and you're a fraudster, well, you've got the keys to the kingdom. And next we have disruption. Now, it's quite easy to create deep fake images for disinformation, as well as videos. And the internet is full of them. It's very difficult now to know what to believe. There's the quality, the photographs look real, the videos can look real. It's so easy for the criminals also to create believable fake negative reviews, to actually hurt their competitors or the people they don't like, or even as a service to the other competitor. There's all sorts of deep fake news bulletins, and then you can use this technology for AI-based adaptive denial of service attacks. As the defenders try and lock things down and get things working again, it just adapts and just causes massive problems. And the disinformation and disruption is the hardest one to stop because it's kind of outside of your influence most of the time. So fighting back, what can you do against all of this? Well, it comes down to 7 areas of focus. The first one is the awareness side, understanding what you're up against. And then we have, the old maxim of patch management. Vulnerabilities are there, they're getting fixed, but you have to roll out the patches. You have to be on top of them. Chrome is now updated on a weekly basis. Any given point, if you check, you will have some form of software that needs patching, and patching will help. Your privacy settings, especially in things like social media, you need to review them. Make sure you're not giving information away. Then on a personal level, it's worth having things like safe words or set questions, especially for family members. So, if they're ever in trouble, there's things you can ask them that that only they would know or they say. And it's about explaining these. Things like admin privileges is another area. Are you running with full admin rights so that if something does happen, if anything malicious was to land, are you running as a full administrator so PowerShell will run, command prompt will run, and the criminals will have full access? If you're not, please create another admin account and drop yours back down to a standard user. The whole identity security, 2-factor, please turn on 2-factor. You've also got single sign-on and passkeys now. All of these lock down everything you can so that only the genuine people can access them. And then lastly, the biggest one is your processes. Your processes will stop things like senior manager override. If everyone has to follow the process, you can't be conned or tricked, because if you say, like, if invoice requests have to follow a certain process, it doesn't matter where you are in the company, you can't bypass this process. Doing this will protect you. And also when things seem untoward or, there's too much pressure, there's panic, the process is, hang on a minute, this isn't part of the process. This is what protects you. It's not super advanced. It's not all about tech. It's, the human element, the processes, to make sure the checks and balances are there. And then the truth is there is no secret ingredient. The cyber criminals are always 3 steps ahead, but you have to do the basics and not make it too easy for them. So that's pretty much it from me. My website is booleanlogical.com. There are hundreds of free resources, free books, and the resources there are there just to let you know, if you use the code BCS, you'll get 50% off. So I'm now open to questions.
Any questions we're looking for? Right. Nick, thank you. So in terms of obviously, this new threat that we are having, so you do mention about awareness, but sometimes it's just so genuine or looks so genuine, right? It looks so genuine. What can we do better for as an IT world, but then also our users? What can we do better in that?
Well, I just saw another question asking, shouldn't our protection be using AI as well? Chances are, if you have business or enterprise grade cybersecurity, anti-malware, there is already a machine learning AI side of it. But it goes back to, the basics. If you've added workarounds and not, because they can't use two-factor, or you've opened things up, it's a case of looking at have you closed all the accounts that aren't necessary? Does everyone, have you adopted a zero trust way of working? Does everyone only have the rights they need and nothing extra? Is the onboarding and offboarding processes for staff members written down and enforced within the times that you say it will be done? When someone leaves, are their accounts closed or migrated, and so on? So, like I said, there's no secret ingredient. You can spend a lot of money and be told you have protection, but a lot of this is also coming on the social engineering side, and the tech's not very good. So it was not very good at stopping that. It's good at, you can pay to have your web traffic filtered. There's loads of good services. Some won't let you land on a website that's less than 24 hours old, the domain, and that will cut out a lot of the phishing. But when you're kind of extorted or tricked, yeah, that doesn't really help. And also, that technology may not be available on your mobiles or your tablets. These attacks don't just come in from one source. The attack vectors are normally multi-layered. So it may start as a social media post and then followed by a message on another social media platforms like WhatsApp or Messenger before it ends up as a spoof text message. So, a lot of the technology won't protect you because it's protecting your email and so on. So it is a case of stepping back, looking at your processes, looking at how you manage identity, and seeing what you have in place and what you've done. But it's just understanding that what you see now when it comes to images, sounds, audio, and videos may not be real anymore. So, someone ringing in a panic, saying there's a problem, may not be them anymore. So that's where those processes kick in.
Hi, it's Mandeep here. I just wanted to maybe make a comment. I mean, the thing is, we know it's very, very difficult at the moment just to get users to practice basic, security awareness just without the artificial intelligence piece. They get very easily fooled, with SMS messages, with emails, and they are very easy to spot because they're full of, that's spelling mistakes and other issues that you think would flag up. Now you throw artificial intelligence into the mix, and as artificial intelligence matures and gets so real and so more accurate, I mean, how are we're going to expect users who are able to spot that? I mean, take the MGM hack a few weeks ago. Yep. We assume someone rang the help desk and said, hey, look, bit of social engineering conversation. Hey, yeah, just reset my password. Job done, and you're in. You put AI mix into it, and the help desk person might say, hey, I recognize that voice. Yeah, that is fine. That is the SVP. It's okay.
Yeah, but that's where the processes come in. I agree. I agree with you.
Companies need more processes, but too multi-factor. There's got to be other ways, that all organizations are going to have to adapt. They can't just work the old way.
Yeah, you can't. But those processes, we're not even following the rules that we said we were going to follow.
Yeah.
So when someone wants to do a password reset, and they ring from an unknown number, or it's just a text message which can be spoofed, the processes have to be right. You have to confirm with that person by this process whether you have to ring a certain number that's on file, you email them, and so on. And you meet all the requirements before you then hand over And part of it is educating people that, look, just because it's stressful and the other person is saying, I need this now, that's not a reason to bypass the process, because that's our only defense against some of this. If it sounds like your CEO, chances are, if you've never spoken to the CEO and you never, because like I deal with my CEO, he comes to me direct. He doesn't talk to some of the others for, when he's got a problem. And it's educating people on the lines of communication as well. As what I mean by, that's part of your processes, understanding the normal lines of communications, so if your firm uses Slack or uses Teams and that's where everything's done by, so if suddenly you get this via a text message or an email, you can say, no, that's not the right way. That's not how we do things. And that would flag a warning. And then, you can have a process to say, after so many warnings, it has to be escalated to someone with more authority. And like, it's that whole police thing where they said, pause, take 5, take a step back and look at the whole situation, because most of the time it's not life or death. The extortion kidnappings one are different, but for most businesses, the whole faked invoice and credentials, and that can be stopped also with things like zero trust. If you have to approve a device, even if you've handed over the username, the password, and they've got the 2-factor, if their device still has to be approved, you've got another stop there in place. So, looking at the zero trust, actually enforcing it, it's the equivalent of adding another 2 locks to your front door. It is hassle, it is pain when you're trying to walk in with loads of bags of shopping because you now have to get 4 keys out. But if those keys are what's protecting you, then it's worth it. Because like you say, the mistakes now can disappear. Conversations can seem genuine, invoices can seem genuine, everything. And when it's combined with compromised accounts, they fished your competitors, they fished your suppliers, and you're getting messages from them. It looks genuine. You get a phone call, it sounds like the person. So yeah, the whole point of this talk is it's about the awareness raising piece, because if the criminals want to spend time and really put in some effort, we have got a really hard job of protecting us.
Yeah, and that's a key point.
Mandeep, I've just got another question from Monsera, if you don't mind. So there's an interesting question here, Nick, is that she does ask, what do you recommend for shadow use? And she's asking, do we create space for experiment?
Do we create space? Yeah, we do, but a lot of it is workarounds that we forget about, or workarounds because someone needed something done, it was urgent, so you kind of leave the door on the latch effectively for a system. And what you don't realize is because part of that system's been compromised and a script is looking for something like that, and then it hands it over. So you can experiment, but you've got to look at it in a safe environment. So where I am, we use Chromebooks. I'm talking to you now on a 16-inch Chromebook. I'm not using Windows or Mac OS. That reduces my attack surface. So the same, if you are going to experiment and you don't link these to actual key systems. You do not put any of your company information or actual PI into ChatGPT because it will reuse it. There is a version that the business version keeps everything private, but the public one, if you give it code, it will then reuse that and suggest it to other people. So the experimentation, you need to make sure it's done in a safe way and you're not opening doors up that wouldn't be open otherwise.
All right, thank you. Just to let you know, sorry, this was meant to be till 5 o'clock, but due to unforeseen circumstances, Nick's got to be at 4:35. So, Nick, one more question, perhaps.
I just saw one just here. Yeah, I will do two. But someone just made a comment that it gave permission to their bank to use his voice as one of the parameters for identity. And yes, that's a problem now because yeah, unless you have to have a particular phrase that only you know. So then that's once again, it's a process that will beat the tech. So there's another question here. Is it true I can use to do affiliate marketing and give recurring commissions? The bots can be used for, especially on the marketing side, but they do have to convince someone to actually enter their credit card details or bank details to pay for something. But it's definitely helping. But yeah, and just there's one more here, last one. What are the possible ways AI can help cybersecurity? It does massively help. Like I said, my anti-malware EDR on all my Windows and Macs, that has an AI component to help identify anything suspicious. So, you know, machine learning and AI is being used on the defense side, but what it can't do is it can't help with a lot of the social engineering side as well. So, and also be careful, a lot of the marketing talks hype says AI, but it's not. There is no real AI yet that we have publicly of true artificial intelligence. It's really just a buzz phrase, but it does do a lot of the heavy lifting. So that's it for me. I'm afraid I'm out of time.
Right. Thank you, Nick, and thank you everyone for attending. We will. I mean, it's a nice hot topic and very interesting in terms of discussions. We will try to organize another event like this so that we can have this discussion to continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.